Okay, so welcome to an episode of the Destination podcast where we take you around the cricketing world and get an idea of what happens in various different cricketing nations. So today on the show, we have a representative from PCI, which is the Indonesian Cricket Board. He's the general manager. So Afie Panigoro, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. So before we kind of get into what kind of is happening with cricket in Indonesia in the current day, could you just give us a quick background on where Indonesian cricket's come from to get to this point?
Yeah, sure. So there's an interesting article written in emergingcricket.com. Shout out to them. I think they had some research around it. So it says there, cricket in Indonesia actually started around the 1880s. So when the Dutch came over to Indonesia, so there were traces there. They actually have a cricket club called the Batavia Cricket, and it was interrupted. The game was interrupted by when a volcano hits Indonesia. So yeah, it was this interesting article. But the real development begins in the late 1990s, where a bunch of Nusa Tenggara Timur kids or East Timor kids were introduced cricket by an expatriate called Bruce Christie. So basically, Bruce is um, scientist going over to Nusa Tenggara Timur, and he trained a bunch of kids from NTT. And then these kids moved to Bali, taking more interest in cricket. They started to develop cricket in Bali. And over the years, they formed Cricket Indonesia Foundation with more expatriates from Jakarta as well. And then after that, it becomes Persatuan Cricket Indonesia in 2011, as it is now. So yeah, it's been interesting history to look at. I don't even know the full history of it, but um, from what I know, since the formation of Persatuan Cricket Indonesia, we've already achieved so much um, from that point on until here. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a brief history that I can give to the audience.
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, I've seen a bit of that as well. I've been lucky enough to catch up with some of your staff and people that are involved with the PCI. And one of the things I'd like to touch on, if you could give us a bit of background on some of the development and community programs that you run over there, because I know you've got a lot of staff that are really passionate about growing the sport, and I think it'd be great to hear a bit about some of the good work that's happening with that.
Yep. I think for development programs, we're not too far off with other countries, especially in Southeast Asian countries such as Philippines, Malaysia, or any other countries. Basically, we also have school clinics. We have teacher trainers. We have school competitions for elementary, junior high, and senior high. The other um, interesting structure is there's this thing called Porsnijar or Sports Week for students. It revolves around multi-sports competition for school kids. Um, they have it. Some province have it for once every 2 years. Some province have once every 4 years. So it differs within each province. But it's really interesting because you can see the development from that competition. When a sports can compete in that level, it means that the sports has developed. The sports have obviously have players from elementary, junior high. So it's important for a sport to actually have that to be played in that competition.
Yeah, most
Even
definitely.
yeah, even in senior levels, we also have the National Sports Week as well, which is a bigger. Basically, it's like a national Olympics, I'd say.
Yeah, very good. So we'll kind of touch more on the National Sports Week a little bit later on, because it's really interesting to see how that's kind of been a big shot in the arm for cricket in Indonesia. But before we get there, could you give us a little bit of kind of how the gap bridges between development to senior cricket? I know you run some really good domestic cricketing competitions there, so could you give us just a quick overview of those?
Yep. So our structure competitions revolves around, I think, I would say the culture, the sports culture in Indonesia, where we follow other sports as well. We have national championships for seniors and juniors, both male and female.
Mhm.
Currently, our junior national championship is for under 19, but we know that we want to compete in under 19 level as well internationally, right? So we have to develop much more younger talents, under 15, under 12 even. So in our national championships for the junior levels, we have categorized, for example, for one team, it has to be there has to be four players under 12, four players under 15, and the rest is under 19. So we have
Okay.
categorized that. So we do have some talent in that one competition.
Yeah,
Other
very
than
good.
that, other than that, we also have leagues. Two biggest leagues that we run is Jakarta League and Bali League. Both leagues are run by combination of expatriates and the locals. In Jakarta, we have two divisions of 8 teams, so we have 16 teams in total. In Bali, we have 8 teams for the men's and I think 6 teams for the female. So we do have female competition as well in Bali.
Yeah, very good. So, I mean, Indonesia's a large country with many provinces. So, can you give us a little bit about um, which provinces are currently involved in cricket?
Yep. So Indonesia have 34 provinces now. We have 20 of those. So we have 20 provinces that already have cricket. I think the way we do it is maybe similar to what ICC has done. So we kind of focus on provinces that are really, really improving by themselves, and then we help them to improve better. So out of those 20, I think I would say we have 10 to 12 provinces that are doing really well, and we are keep communicating with them, creating programs for them. For example, Jakarta and Bali, one of top two biggest province for cricket. We do have Jakarta Sixes and Bali Sixes that we help. In Bali, we have this Kartini Cup that it's specialized for females only competition. And in 2018, we managed to in 2019, we managed to create international um, competition for Kartini Cup with inviting Myanmar over. So yeah, we have a lot of provinces and big numbers, but the way we do it is we focus on some province that we think that can do better.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I guess that's kind of probably your blueprint, I guess you would say, on how you look to expand is to see which areas are really taking up cricket and then supporting them from there. But could you maybe just for the viewers give them a little bit of background? I know that PCI does a lot of work with language, Indonesia having a lot of provincial and regional languages. So could you maybe explain a little bit about some of the resources PCI provides nationally and then at the provincial level to try and translate some of the kind of how to do cricket and kind of the way to play cricket into local languages?
Yep. Yeah. Talking about languages, we have I think 300 ethnicities and 300 different languages. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, but um, since we do have provinces that cater those, so what we did in the central, which is the PCI, is actually translating English written documents to Bahasa, translating videos to English videos to Bahasa videos, and then we spread it out to the provinces, and the provinces start to spread out and do the translation themselves
Mm.
to cater those languages. But yeah, I think language is a barrier for us because we're not an English speaking country. So it's a challenge, but we are trying to take the barriers down by helping them with our own language. The other thing is cricket is actually we have traditional sports that really similar to cricket. It's called kasti. It's a bat and ball game. It's similar. So the way we introduce cricket is through the similarities of that sport,
Mm.
and with the language and the similarities of those two sports, people can understand better what cricket is.
Yeah, very good. So kind of, I mean, that gives a bit of an overview of some of the development side of cricket. So if we can bring it back to kind of the Indonesian national games, can you tell me a little bit about what that is and then what cricket's involvement is in the Indonesian national games?
Yep. It's actually called Pon Games. It stands for Pekan Olahraga Nasional, which is translated to um, National Sports Week. But I'd say, just for it to be easy, we can say it's National Olympic. So basically, it's a multi-sports events. Um, it's there for once every 4 years. The first time we had it is in 2012. We weren't recognized back then, but then in 2014 we were back on, and then sorry, in 2016 we were back on, and then we were recognized at that time. So um, we already have three formats to play. I think we did play T20, Super 8, and sixes as well. So basically, the National Olympics is like an Olympic, but for 34 provinces of Indonesia. So all those 34 provinces battling each other out to see who comes on top at the top. Usually, the host of the Olympics of the National Olympics won the first place, but um, in smaller province that would probably didn't get that. But yeah, it's really important for us because it is funded by the government, it is funded by the local government, it is funded by the provinces as well. So each provinces would have you know um, wages for their athletes, their coaches, um, training materials and all that stuff. So it's really big events, and it's once every 4 years. So people are um, going mad about it. So this year will be in Papua, the eastest of Indonesia. So it's very very far. But we managed to get two new grounds in Papua, two new cricket grounds in Papua. So I guess really it's an opportunity for us to have um, a ground where the fun is held. So we had in Jawa Barat in 2016. We have a ground there. Now we have in Papua. Hopefully, the next time it's held, we can also add a new ground as well. So it's yeah, a multi-sport events. I think it's very important for sports to actually be recognized with and to be a part with as well.
Mm.
And talking about impacts, you know, each province have their own budget to give to their athletes. But as I said before, each province is very different. So, for example, in 2016, I think Bali won the gold medals and they get some kind of bonuses. And NTT, East Nusa Tenggara, only got bronze medal, but their athletes got house, like literally a house by the government.
Mm.
So it is very prestigious event, especially for the provinces. So for us in central, like the PCI, we were just happy to happy to organize it, and then the province can just give the luxury to athletes and to the coaches, and then we just be happy with it.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of, it's really interesting. It's a way for kind of players to maybe not necessarily make a career out of it, but to be really recognized for their efforts and their achievements, which is excellent
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
hear. So kind of just to expand on that point a little further and to provide a bit of context to the viewers there. Um, Not long after those games in 2016, cricket was announced for the first ever time to be part of the Southeast Asian Games. Um, Indonesia did a fantastic job over there, bringing home a silver medal in the women's and a bronze in the men's. Can you tell me a little bit about the efforts from PCI to get aside the sides ready for that, and a little bit about that experience of competing against some really top nations like Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, etc.?
Yep. I think for the 2017 Sea Games, well, first of all, I would say um, it's also a work between each countries as well, because I think that's the first time cricket is actually played in Southeast Asian Games in
Mm.
Malaysia. So um, it's a good work by um, other countries as well, like in Malaysia, Singapore. I think Vietnam was there, Thailand was there. So yeah, we were thankful that it's actually happening there, even though like the women's team only have 4 teams at that point. Um, but coming to that, preparing for that event, I think we sort of the government also gave us a lot of um, support. Um, they know that because the competition is small, and we said that that we can actually contribute medals. They support us very well, so it's also a part of our work as well as a board members that um, we tell the government to actually realize them that we have potentials to get medals for them. So that's from our side. But from the athletes, yeah, I think they've done really really well in that competition. So I think we trained for 8 months leading to that competition. So it's really their hard work that really pays off. Even for the men's, like we didn't like to be honest, we didn't expect them to win anything. But at that third place against Thailand, they actually proved themselves that um, they are hardworking, a bunch of hardworking athletes, and the females as well. We formed the female teams in 2014, and in just 3 years, they'll be able to play cricket at that level.
Mm.
It's astonishing, really.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Kind of one last point on multi-sport games, like from a PCI perspective, what's the importance? Like we have the Asian Games in 2022 in China has announced that cricket will be part of that again. What's the importance from a PCI perspective of having cricket at big multi-sport events?
It's huge, especially when a sport is actually considered as an Olympic sports. There are huge difference in our community where you're an Olympic sport, you're a non-Olympic sport, so they treat us differently. They treat us, or they give different fundings, they give different facility. So um, Olympic sport is basically number one thing that they look into, even in you know Asian games or Sea games as well. If you're an Olympic sport, you're automatically you know going to be played in that competition, right? Asian games as well. It's really gonna bring huge amount of support from the government if we're going to play in the Asian games. Um, Again, there will be additional support if we can show them that we actually have a chance to get a medal. So it's very huge for us. I think it's not just for Indonesia, but also for a lot of Asian countries as well. Their development are based on if your sport is an Olympic or not.
Mm.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the way I see it.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
yeah,
Kind of on that point, it's probably a good way to segue it to, like, I've had the experience of watching your men's and women's national teams play a couple of times now. One thing for any viewers that are out there that I would say is really keep an eye on the Indonesian women's national team. They're amazing side, really, really amazing side. They're top 20 in the world now, which is a fantastic achievement. And I think they'd be a dark horse in the Asian Games. I think they've really got a shot of showing people what they can do. But could you maybe explain a little bit about the national teams that Indonesia runs and what's kind of the plans moving them forward?
yeah. So uh, as you said before, I think our women's team has progressed quite well, and we want to see them to play on a higher level. So it's been in our strategy that we're going to focus on the women's game. But with that being said, our boys also are full of talents. They're very talented and they're young as well. So I'd like to see them to actually play overseas. With the global network open up, there are a lot of opportunities to play in overseas. Hopefully, that after this pandemic is over, we would want to see competitions that invites individual players from a lot of countries to play. Maybe in Philippines have Philippines Open, and then get some international players from Japan, South Korea, Indonesia to play together in a mix competition. I think that would be fantastic to
Mm.
see.
Yeah, I think it's kind of really cool that, you know, Philippines and Indonesia kind of have one of the world's friendliest rivalries when it comes to cricket. It's always really good fun getting to play against your sides. And yeah, even your men's team, I mean, they're really underrated. Their ranking doesn't really do them justice. They're quite a solid side and a lot of young players coming through, which is really good to see. So I guess outside of national teams, what are some of the goals for PCI in the future?
Basically, yeah, outside of national teams, developing cricket in the country is also one of the top priorities. So we want to increase awareness. Um, One of the things that we did this year is actually to do the live streaming. So we did live stream our finals of Bali Sixes and Kartini Cup, and it's actually received around 1.6K views on average. So that's a good start. I think we're gonna have more streaming matches around our leagues in the future, and then I think impact's also important for us. So um, we work every day in sports. We want to see if we can impact people positively. So we're trying to be the best sport or be the best Indonesian sport that we can be in Indonesia. So yeah, basically we're trying to do positive impacts to our community.
Yeah, very good. So just on the point of the YouTube kind of channel that you've started and starting to stream games, could you tell maybe the viewers a little bit of where else they can find you? And what we'll do is we'll make sure there's a link below in the description where people can go and follow PCI and keep in touch with what positive stuff's happening there. So maybe could you just give a background of what else you have that people can look
Yeah,
out for?
sure. So if people want to reach us, we have several social media. We have Instagram and cricket underscore ina, and then we have Facebook Cricket Indonesia. Our YouTube is also called Cricket Indonesia. We have a website as well. You can see the link in this video. You can reach us by those links. So yeah, just I'm excited to keep in touch, and if people want to reach us, don't be shy. We're very excited to meet someone new. Maybe if
Yeah.
we can get a banter to within our social media, that'll be great. Keep
Yeah, for
connecting.
sure. Yeah. Um, So before we go, two things. One, I'd like to thank you very much for coming on, and from everyone in the Philippine Cricket Association, we wish you well moving forward, and we want to continue to see um, cricket in Indonesia grow, and we're really proud of the positive work you're doing in Indonesia. Um, and one final thing, is there anything else you'd like to add to the viewers? Is there anything like a message you'd like to maybe share with anybody that's interested in the game of cricket growing globally?
Yeah, I think supporting one another would be the perfect fit. You know, we're developing cricket in, I'd say, non-cricketing countries, so supporting each other um, in a way, in any way, would be great for us. So yeah, just reach out to us if is there anything we can help, or you want to help us with. If there are any opportunities that come up with, we're open. We're open to collaborate.
Yeah, excellent. So thanks again for your time. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.